words here again. And first off, I guess the most obvious thing right now is that I've actually added some room to the room so that I can basically just so I can record in windowed mode. This way, it's not really a big change at all. It's literally just changing a variable or two just to do that. But the main thing I've done is I've basically finished up the inventory system, save for a couple of little problems. Well, a couple of problems that still remain. But at this point, when I go to get an item, it gives me the stats for the item instead of just getting the item immediately, which is better, I think, at this point. Eventually, there might be a different option to quickly get an item. Basically, just immediately stuff it in whatever the first container available is, or pick it up in your hand if no other containers are there. Otherwise, though, you can hit enter. It gives you where you want to store it. So I can put that in the bag, move over to my inventory, and I can drop that bag. If I go to get, it now lists the bag, which it didn't before. Well, it would list it before, but it would have trouble when you tried to get it before. I don't think I showed that because it's probably like a crash bug, and I didn't want to crash the game while trying to record. But you hit enter, and it now actually lists the items. I can go to my sword, and I can see the sword, and I can also retrieve it. It'll give me a couple places to retrieve it to. So I can say I can put it in my right hand or whatever. That's kind of a bug right there. I didn't realize that was still an issue. It cancels all the way out at this point, but that's okay. I'll just note that as another bug in a sec here, but we'll get that fixed too. But anyway, yeah, otherwise, actually, if I go into the bag and look at the sword, if I cancel from there, it goes back to the bag. If I cancel from there, it goes back to the list. But I can go ahead and I can take the bag, go to my bag. And the last thing that's kind of important here is right now it actually lists the bag as a place to put the bag, which isn't correct. It's not only is that a problem, but it actually causes a crash if you attempt to look in a bag that has an item that's been put back into itself. Basically, if you put an item into the bag it's already in, and then open the bag, the game crashes, which is a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix it so that it's just no longer going to list the bag that it's already in at all. Just no matter what it'll say. It'll go through when it goes to actually draw the menu. It'll say, hey, wait, that bag is something that I've already got something in that bag. I'm already in that bag. Why should I list that? Don't do it. It won't be there. So when you go to look at it, it'll actually just sort of correctly skip it over and everything and here. Doesn't do that yet. That'll be next time. And on top of that, I'm going to fix that. A couple other little problems with this, including what I just mentioned, as well as I did make it so that at this point, I don't know if you noticed, it no longer. I haven't actually shown you that yet. That's the last thing I need to show, which is a pretty small change. But let's store that in my right hand. Go over here, get this item, store it in my left hand. Over here, and if I try to get this item, it let me store it in the bag. I no longer made it so that it no longer checks whether your hands are full when deciding whether or not you can pick up an item. So it now actually says, okay, whatever, you're just the only place to put is the bag, but okay, that's okay. It's going to eventually also, if there is nowhere else to store it, no matter what, when you get something, it's going to put it at whatever that place is, if there's any place to put it, and otherwise just tell you there's nowhere. But that doesn't happen yet either. As you can see, it lists the bag. It's like, where do you want to put it? Well, which is a problem. I want to streamline everything so that the player doesn't feel just plain old annoyed. Like, it's bad enough to have, if the inventory system is a little bit weird, like it's going to be, but also, because this is kind of experimental, and again, kind of just for the sake of being experimental, but, it could lead to something interesting, and if it works, then I'll keep it. But point is, I don't want it to actually also be annoying because the player is having to, is wanting to go pick something up and saying, well, where else am I going to put it? So basically, from here, I'm going to do a couple other things. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to get to where I'm going to get rid of the bug where it tries to store an item in the place it's already stored. And I'm going to finally actually go ahead and add, make it so that storage has amount of space and a volume to it, so that you can no longer store an indefinite number of items into a container. And it's going to actually stop listing containers or using containers that are already full. And I'm then going to go from there and add a status page, basically more menus and then At that point, we might be able to have, there might actually be stats if I'm starting to list stats, and then you might actually be able to say use an item. Say if you had a sword, you might have it in your hand and be able to say use and then choose a direction and attack. At which point, that would actually kind of be combat, wouldn't it? Which would be, at the very least, there might be the start of that, kind of the idea of it, which I probably said before. I probably said I was willing to do a lot of things, which, that's kind of the idea, though. Sometimes, so probably next week, I'll probably get a lot of that stuff done. But at this point, the inventory is just about done. So you should click on like, because I did stuff, and you should click on subscribe, because you want to see more, I'm sure. Or I guess maybe you don't, and you can just stop watching, that's cool. But you should also, seriously though, if you want to keep watching me work on this game, get some more stuff done, see where it goes, you should click on subscribe. It's the best way to do it. But thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.